First, I'd like to welcome everyone to this very unique presentation in which I hope to set the stage for introducing a mega project to the Pro-Social Commons platform to better integrate the respective disciplines of science and wisdom, but more on that as we go. So, and if you're not already familiar, my name is Brian McConnell, and I'll be your host and moderator for this introductory segment exploring practical prospects of how to facilitate large-scale human transformation, particularly in the realm of polity, as a crucial approach for otherwise ameliorating planetary health and well-being from this juncture forward. In the same regard, too, in drawing significantly from integral orientations to both theory and practice, conscious cultural evolution is a term that's conceptually adapted here in large part from the impact of David Sloan Wilson's This View of Life. Similarly, too, Thomas Legrand's recently released Politics of Being serves as a central reference in this regard by informing our shared experience and practice in exploring what a wisdom-based or spiritual approach to politics might look like, and subsequently, how to tap into science to support our conscious collective evolution. What's more, and as a framing of my own role and engagement navigating this aggregate of theoretical understandings, which include systems thinking, integral thinking, U-theory's presencing and pro-social context, in late December, David Wilson, Kurt Johnson, Paul Atkins, and Jeffrey Gunning co-authored an article in downloadable PDF format entitled Integral and Pro-Social Spirituality, which was in turn published by the Integral Leadership Review. Along similar lines to these, Thomas Legrand in Chapter 2 of his Politics of Being, noting an evolutive crisis, explains how a multiplicity of crises, which taken together can be economic, sanitary, environmental, social, political, food-related, energetic, demographic, ethical, or cognitive, all point to an overall obsolescence of our current model of development. To better express this with respect to factors of scale, however, where holons are said to comprise the individual building blocks of Ken Wilber's model, the concept has been borrowed from Arthur Koestler's description of the Great Chain of Being, a medieval description of levels of being. In this way, though, it's interesting how readily the same idea that, in quotes, every entity and concept is both an entity on its own and a hierarchical part of a larger whole, end quotes, interrelates to that of David Sloan Wilson's explanation of how complex adaptive systems function within these same embedded hierarchies in his Rethinking the Theoretical Foundation of Economics. Likewise, and because the same state of crisis which Thomas cites from an evolutionary perspective, can occur in various ways across a multitude of levels, as reflected here in the Stockholm Resilience Center's mapping of 9 planetary boundaries. Exceeding them poses the threat of cascading collapse to sustaining a safe operating space for humanity's continued development. What's more, and as Thomas Legrand says, the old story of separation that is at the core of our cultural program until now has shaped our development model's priority, that of having measured in a country's GDP, which still prevails as the metric for assessing a country's relative level of development. This focus has created an imbalance, a relative inner underdevelopment, and ethical crisis that threatens our future. where, however, adoption of the Sustainable Development Goals in 2015 gave us a comprehensive plan for a sustainable world by 2030, and resultingly, there is a vision of what needs to happen. Progress towards its actualization has so far been disappointing, the problem being we lack the inner capacity to deal with our increasingly complex environment and challenges. Remarkably, however, modern research shows that the inner abilities we now all need can be developed. As a result, this avowal of our inner capacities constitutes a starting point for the Inner Development Goals Initiative. It's for these reasons, and in the same spirit, I'm offering this presentation in support of global leadership for sustainable development, and look forward to participating to the fullest extent I'm able in its concurrent program. And in closing, thanks first to the panel's guests for attending, and secondly, to those viewing the post-production video.